Kenny, I think we need to talk about the week.
The week.
I figured it had to come up, but the week was good. We didn't do anything stupid.
Yeah.
You know,
so
I'm honored that I've heard you say it was still one of the best weeks ever.
It was a rite of passage. So it was. So my dad's guys didn't talk to me much. So when you asked me to go on this trip, I'm like, this was extremely way out of character for me, for anybody in Dad's generation. And all I know is I'm going to get on a King Air to leave Statesville Regional Airport, and I'm flying somewhere to meet up with Ken Schrader, and I'm going to be with him for a week.
We started out in St. Louis.
I was 15 years old.
Is this 16?
16.
Yeah,
that's right, because I drove my truck.
You drove a truck up there.
And I got on the plane, and I'm reading the Bible, all right, in this King Air, flying to meet Kenny. A day or two before I got on this plane to leave, I had been reading the Bible.
And if I remember right, because I was already...
That's important.
I was already... Yeah.
Knowing how we know this trip turned,
Did Dad come to you and say, take that damn boy with you somewhere? Or did you ask him? How did
we just talking, and I said, we'll take Junior on a trip with us. We'll just go racing all week. And he just looked at me. And I said, racing. And he knew, and I also heard...
He knew what?
He knew what was going to happen, which nothing bad happened. Nothing happened that no one's going to jail for.
No.
And...
y'all land, and then what? And then where do you meet up with Ken?
I don't know.
St. Louis.
Remember?
St. Louis. We ran Grant City, Illinois the first night because we got pictures of us because we won that race.
Yes. Yeah, I remember y'all running around. You had a little bit of a match race, maybe, or no?
I don't know, but we won the feature.
Yeah. They didn't really start loading up or hustling to get out of there. Everybody else is kind of leaving a little bit at a time, and before you know it, it's just Kenny in his truck and 30 people. Maybe is a lot of freaking people. It seemed like. Just
it was a big
around,
cooler.
Yeah, standing around drinking beer.
Yeah.
And I was standing there with Ann, and I said,
Kenny's wife.
Yeah. I went into the to the RV for to either pee or to get a drink or something.
We were geared up. We had the hauler and motorhome.
Yeah. And she says, "You want a beer?" And I was like, "Oh, I can't drink a beer." And she goes, "Yeah, you can." And I said, "Well, I don't want anybody to know I'm drinking a beer." And she goes, "Well, you can just pour it in this cup." And so she poured me a beer in a Dixie cup.
She was the bad influence.
She was the bad influence. And so then I drank a bunch of beer. And then I walked over to the racetrack, climbed up in the flag stand, and just looking around, checking the track out. I mean, it's like 12 o'clock at night. It's midnight. They'd still left the lights on. I mean, it was pretty cool. It was really a unique... I'm standing there, with Schrader, and I ain't no danger, and we are just grassroots and
drinking,
having a
beer.
blast. Yeah.
We still do that every week, Dale.
Yeah.
Every week.
And then at about 2 o'clock in the morning, Schrader goes, "All right, we should start heading on to the next place." So we go to Belle Claire. This one I remember specifically because we, by this time, drinking beer every day, all day, it seemed like.
I wasn't.
Yeah,
I
wasn't.
I was racing.
Yeah, he was racing. But now I'm getting my own beers after a few days,
Gotcha.
right? And me and the banker.
We don't have to ask anymore.
I'm comfortable. I know where the cooler is.
Real comfortable.
Yeah, real comfortable.
Right.
Now I got a couple nudie magazines. The Bible's long gone.
Your dad stuck his head in the camper at Topeka
during his practice.
Yeah, he says, "Junior up there." I said, "He's fine," and he's like, he's got a magazine and beer cans besides the couch. I said, "I'm good, Dad."
Yeah.
Said,
he didn't see that.
Well, he didn't. He
didn't take notice of anything awry at that moment. I didn't even know he did that. I don't remember that.
Wow.
So I remember we were there was heat races going on and everything, and I'm hanging out with the crew, and then we saw these two hippies in two wheelchairs fighting, and I don't know. I just sticks in my mind.
I miss some.
He was in the car. He was in the car driving. But I remember two guys in wheelchairs toppled over, and both of them had a hold of each other's hair. Not one was wanting to let go of the other, and they were upset with each other.
Oh my God!
But and I remember we were in the King Air a little bit, flying to a couple things. Where were we when we went to the Gentlemen's Club?
Well, we flew back from Belleville, Kansas, and we had to run Topeka, where your daddy was coming in, and we were all going to rate. Rick Hendrick was there, and we were all going to race Sunday.
So that's a Saturday night?
Saturday night.
Okay.
We flew back to Topeka.
I thought that was in the middle of the week for some reason.
No, Topeka was Saturday night. We didn't race Saturday night. We just went and watched Topeka. And Saturday night, you were
tuned up.
You were tuned up.
Yeah. So Saturday night, Schrader and them all organized a trip to the Gentlemen's Club.
Well, it was between the airport.
I mean, it was a stop.
and
It was on the
way
way home. Yeah,
you wouldn't have
It was
gone
on
out.
the way home.
You
on the way
wouldn't
home.
dare go out of your way to the Gentlemen's Club.
No,
I
we
mean,
had a
it's-
van.
I mean,
We're in a van. We pull up, and Schrader is like all of them are sort of talking. I'm sitting there, and we're in this van pulling in, and a couple of people were like, "They ain't gonna let him in." Schrader's like, "Oh, they'll let him in." No, they're not gonna let him in. Ain't no way. So Schrader's like, "All right, we're gonna form a circle. Junior, you get in the middle. Just eyes forward. Don't say a word. We're just gonna go in. They're never even gonna see you."
It didn't work.
It didn't work. So we get to the door, and we tried to go on in, and the guy goes, "Hey, you can't come in." A little bit of conversation. Sorry, just can't let him in. So Schrader, I said, "Y'all go in. I'm going to go back out to the van." And another guy follows me. And he's like, he had hung out with us a little bit, but he hadn't been on the whole trip. So he's like, let's sit in the bed of this pickup truck next to the van. There's a truck next to the van. Me and him sit in the bed.
We don't know whose truck it is.
So me and him get the beer cooler. We sit in the bed of the pickup truck, and we're drinking beer, and we're just watching people come in and out of the parking lot. I'm sitting there talking to this guy, we're just having a great conversation. I watched a gun deal go down. What? So, I watched a guy selling guns at the trunk of his car. He's like an old '78 Ford Mercury or something, big old clunker wagon. And me and this guy are sitting in the bed of this pickup truck, and two guys are standing at the back of this Mercury with the trunk open, just talking and looking in there and talking and looking in there. I imagine it was guns. I don't know. I'm going to assume it was guns. Who knows what could have been in there. But anyways, we didn't say a word. We just sat there. It was amazing. We were sitting. Time goes by, right? An hour or two, whatever it was. I don't know how long it was.
I'm sure it wasn't near that long.
Well,
we wouldn't have been in there very long.
I don't know how long it was, but I wasn't worried. Finally, they all come barreling on out of there. Yeah, man, that was a great time. Everybody get back in the van, and we get in the van and drive off, right? And probably about 5 years ago, I was sitting in the lounge for the driver's meeting for the Daytona 500. Either Daytona, maybe it was a Busch race. I don't know exactly what it was. But I'm sitting I got there a little early. Nobody really filtered in yet. Carl Edwards is sitting there with his dad. And I sit down next to Carl. Carl waves me over. He's like, "Hey, come here." He's like, "You know my dad?" And I was like, "No, I don't think so, man. How you doing?" He goes, "Nah, you know him. He says y'all and him hung out." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, in the back of a pickup truck in the parking lot of a strip club in Topeka, Kansas." I was like, "That was you?" Carl Edwards' dad.
Yeah.
Back in 1991. What a small world.
Yeah, right. No doubt. So you're back there.
That to me is the best part of the whole trip.
Well, yeah. I mean, but I always thought you made it into the club.
No.
Was there
No.
another club?
Nope.
Well, you're leaving out part.
What?
We finally negotiated with the bouncer.
Oh!
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
How could I forget?
Yeah. How could you forget?
There's a new best
All
part
right.
to this story.
Well, this is the better part.
This is the best part. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah.
midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, right? Pitch black, but they come out, right? Well, who comes out with them? All the girls that are in the
strippers?
club. Yeah. I mean, how many? There had to be 4 or 5.
Yeah. I remember it a little bit different, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in my mind today, as I'm remembering it,
All the strippers ever are out there
in
in
my
the
mind
parking
today,
lot.
as I'm remembering it, but in about 2 minutes, they're like, "Hey, you couldn't get in there, so we brought the party out here." And there's
it's getting
There's
more real now.
There's strippers standing on the hoods of the cars around.
Buying guns.
There's guys carrying AKs around. And there's firing them in the air.
We don't do that stuff
Yeah.
anymore. No, we don't do that stuff anymore.
So they're all just dancing on the roofs, so the cars are all around. It wasn't really like that, but that's how I imagine it in my
I
mind.
imagine it was, right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the
Wow.
party, the strip club, basically just emptied out into the parking lot for I don't know how long.
We didn't want you not to be included.
Wasn't that nice? Wasn't that nice of them?
That's a good friend. That's a good friend.
We were looking out at
I
you.
thought
I'm
that
sure
they
your dad
I
would
thought
agree.
that they were sitting in there just having a great time, going, he's fine.
Right.
They were thinking
we were working
they were
the whole
worried-
time.
They were working the whole time, worried.
Right.
The
right.
whole time.
What's
get
it going
you
to
out.
take to get them off this stage and
Yeah.
out there to the parking lot?
So Sunday morning rolls around. I haven't really had a hangover this entire trip until Sunday morning.
Well,
I
you
am
would have had to
green.
quit drinking to get a
Yeah.
hangover.
So I did. We quit drinking. Why did we quit drinking? Because Dad was there. Dad had flew in to run the race.
And is this back at Topeka?
We're in Topeka.
Okay.
Sunday morning, race day.
Mr. Rick's there.
Rick Hendrick's there. I'm feeling pretty rough, and I'm trying to avoid Dad. I'm
Well-
at the RV.
I gave you strict instructions to don't talk to him.
Yes.
Don't breathe on him.
Right. Dad is roaming around, right? And I went over to the pit road and sat down in Schrader's pit stall, and they're gluing lug nuts. And I'm just sitting there hanging out, talking to the guys a little bit as they're gluing lug nuts for the race. And I seen Daddy's boots coming across the floor I got my head down, and under the bill of my cap, I can see Daddy walking up. And he looked down at me, and he goes, "Hey!" And I looked up at him, and he just turned around and walked off. I didn't have to say anything. And I didn't see him the rest of the day.
Well, his day was short.
Yeah, until after the race. He started in the back because he missed qualifying.
He wasn't there to qualify.
Right. So he starts in the back. You qualified. You're running up front. He drives all the way to second place. And he gets to second and then missed turn one and backed the car into a barrier. Great little race car. Mark Reno built it. I remember we got on the plane and went home. I don't remember having a conversation with him about it. I don't remember. I think it was, I knew I was caught. I knew he was mad, and he didn't want to talk to me, and I didn't damn sure want to, open my mouth and start anything, So
So it was just silent
it
treatment
was
the whole
silent,
way back?
yeah. And he never said a word to me. Week goes by. They go to Pocono.
Did he say a word to you?
No, he
Did he
didn't.
say anything to you in Topeka?
No.
I know that you're aware that a lot of people, follow your career and love the fact that you're still out there racing, but there's so many fans that still appreciate you.
I just couldn't make it because I'm not retired like
working
everybody
hard.
else. I'm still
I know.
I'm salaried, man.
Yeah.
It's hard to get away.
So you're going to run how many races this year?
I'll get in 65, 70, and then we'll do 45 of those play days for Federate where we take cars out to the track.
45 play days.
Yeah, last year we did 60.
Jeez.
It's going to be down to about 45 this year.
Well, man, I knew you was going to be on this show at some point, and when we figured out we had you booked, I wrote some small notes, and I try not to really. I mean, the big elephant in the room is that on the day my dad was killed, that you were a part of that accident. And I wanted to say something about it. We can't do this podcast. We can't have this conversation and ignore it, right? So I wrote something and I wanted to read it to you if I could.
Don't mess me up here.
I'm not going to mess you up. You don't have to say a word, all right? But I just wanted, I've known you a long time, and a lot of time has passed since that happened. And you've been a great friend to me. You're one of only a few to see the darkest moment from my dad. That you have intimate knowledge of those moments. You are a keeper of that delicate information. It makes me feel close to you, Kenny. I feel pain for you to have to carry that memory, but you carry it for me. You carry it for Kelly, Dad's family. You carry it for anyone who's ever cheered for him. It's a secret that you'll keep to your last breath. Kenny, I know you might sometimes wish you weren't the one, but I'm glad it was you. And I really appreciate you for who you are and the friend you've been to me. Just that little gesture to give me the nod on Kenny Jones. There was a couple drivers in the last couple of decades that gave me some great advice, really, really good advice in particular times. And just to do that small thing, you knew it was a big thing to put Kenny with me. You knew how good a person Kenny was. You knew how important he was in your life and how important he would become in mine. He means the world to me and Amy. And I just appreciate it.
Well, I love you guys, but the best advice I ever gave you, you didn't listen to. Don't look at your dad and don't breathe on him. You screwed that up.
I swear I didn't breathe on him. I didn't say a word to him. He just knew.